Okay. Hello. Welcome to Storytime Live with Srta Pikula. I hope you're all having a great day. Happy Thursday. It is almost Friday and it's sunny out today. And I hope that you're doing well. And thanks for watching. I'm trying to find where we last left off. Um, uh, but we're gonna have shout outs for today. So today I'm gonna give a shout out to um, Miss Phaedra, my student Phaedra, um, and her dog Pumpkin, because um, Phaedra and her dog Pumpkin, um, Pumpkin likes to sit on Phaedra's lap while we are doing um, things together, and Pumpkin's very cute and a very well behaved dog, and Phaedra always makes me smile with um, her stories uh, and everything that she does. So Phaedra, thanks for making me smile today. So that's my shout out for today, and let's recap where we were. So when we were last here, um, uh, they'd gotten lost, they'd gotten attacked, and then they were wandering through the forest, and they were all going backwards, and they listened to Lucy, and then they went into a deep sleep, and everyone was in a very deep sleep. But then Lucy woke up again, and this time when she woke up, she heard a voice calling her name. And it was a voice like the best voice in the world. And at first she thought it was her father's, but then it wasn't her father's. And she thought it was Peter's voice, but it wasn't Peter either. Peter was fast asleep. And she got up and she started wandering into the woods. And as she was walking through the woods, she saw the greatest sight ever. They were the trees, and the trees seemed seemingly human, although they weren't changing into their human forms exactly. They were for like a split second, but then they just stayed in the form of trees, but they were dancing. As she walked through the dancing trees, she was dodging them here and there to go towards the voice. When she got to the voice, she saw exactly who she wanted to see, Aslan himself. And she ran to him with no fear, never wondering for a second if he was a different lion, if he was a wild lion and not a talking lion. No, she knew immediately it was Aslan. And she went up to him and hugged him, and she realized something strange about him. She said, Aslan, you're bigger. And he said, that's because you're bigger. And she said, well, did you get older? And he said, oh, no, I don't get older. I'm the same age as you, but you got older. And so every time that you get older and you get bigger, I will seem bigger. And and then she was with him, and she was so happy. And she immediately started telling him, Aslan, it wasn't my fault. Like I told them I saw you. I knew it was you, and they wouldn't listen to me. And Aslan didn't say anything, but he looked very sad. He growled a little bit, like the barest hint of a growl. And Lucy stopped and she said, oh, I should have tried. Are you saying, Aslan, are you saying I should have come to you? That I should have come to you even though they wouldn't? And he didn't say anything. And she said, but Aslan, like, I couldn't have come by myself. And all he did was look at her. And she realized that she should have gone. She knew what she saw, and she should have gone to him anyways. And so he has sent her on the mission. He had told her two very important things. We can never know what would have been, and we can never two things can never be done the same. Things can never happen the same way twice, which told Lucy that he was not going to come in the same way and save everyone like he did the last time in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So then he left her and said, you need to come and follow me. So when we left off, even though she was terribly afraid and realizing that she had to tell everyone to come and follow her and that she'd seen Aslan again, and she knew that they wouldn't believe her, probably like they didn't the last time, she was going to do it. So let's see what happens. She went for Peter first and shook him. Peter, she whispered in his ear, wake up, quick, Aslan is here. He says we've got to follow him at once. Certainly, Lou. Whatever you like, said Peter unexpectedly. This was encouraging to Lucy, but as Peter instantly rolled around and went to sleep again, it wasn't much use. Then she tried Susan. Susan did really wake up, but only to say to her in her most annoying grown up voice, "You've been dreaming, Lucy. Go to sleep again." She tackled Edmund next. It was very difficult to wake him, but when at last she had done it, he was really awake and sat up. Ugh, he said in a grumpy voice. What are you talking about? She said it all over again. This was one of the worst parts of her job, for each time she said it, it sounded less convincing. Aslan, said Edmund, jumping up. Hooray! Where? Lucy turned back to where she could see the lion waiting, his patient eyes fixed upon her. There, she said, pointing. Where? Asked Edmund again. There, right over there, don't you see? Just this side of the trees. Edmund stared hard for a while and then said, No, there's nothing there. You've got dazzled and muddled with the moonlight. One does, you know. I thought I saw something for a moment myself. It's only a optical, what do you call it? I can see him all the time, said Lucy. He's looking straight at us. Then why can't I see him? He said that you mightn't be able to. Why? I don't know. That's what he said. Oh, bother it all, said Edmund. I do wish you wouldn't keep on seeing things, but I suppose we'll have to wake the others. Chapter 11. The Lion Roars. When the whole party was finally awake, Lucy had to tell her story for a fourth time. The blank silence which followed it was as discouraging as anything could be. I can't see anything, said Peter after he had stared his eyes sore. Can you, Susan? No, of course I can't, snapped Susan, because there isn't anything to see. She's been dreaming. Do lie down and go to sleep, Lucy. And I do hope, said Lucy in a tremulous voice, that you will all come with me, because I'll have to go with him whether anyone else does or not. Don't talk nonsense, Lucy, said Susan. Of course you can't go off on your own. Don't let her, Peter. She's being downright naughty. I'll go with her, if she must go, said Edmund. She's been right before. I know she has, said Peter, and she may have been right this morning. We certainly had no luck going down the gorge. Still, at this hour of the night, and why should Aslan be invisible to us? He never used to be. It's not like him. What does the DLF say? Oh, I say nothing at all, answered the dwarf. If you all go, of course I'll go with you, and if your party splits up, I'll go with the High King. That's my duty to him and King Caspian. But if you ask my private opinion, I'm a plain dwarf who doesn't think there's much chance of finding a road by night where you couldn't find one by day. And I have no use for magic lions who are talking lions and don't talk, and friendly lions, though they don't do us any good, and whopping big lions, so nobody can see them. It's all bilge and beanstalks for all, as far as I can see. He's beating his paw on the ground for us to hurry, said Lucy. We must go now. At least I must. You've no right to try to force the rest of us like that. It's 4-1, and you're the youngest, said said Susan. Oh, come on, growled Edmund. We've got to go. There'll be no peace till we do. He fully intended to back Lucy up, but he was annoyed at losing his night's sleep and was making up for it by doing everything as sulkily as possible. On the march, then, said Peter, wearily fitting his arm into his shield strap and putting his helmet on. At any other time, he would have said something nice to Lucy, who was his favorite sister, for he knew how wretched she must be feeling, and he knew that whatever had happened, it was not her fault. But he couldn't help being a little annoyed with her all the same. Susan was the worst. Supposing I started behaving like Lucy, she said, I might threaten to stay here whether the rest of you went on or not. I jolly well think I shall. Obey the High King, your Majesty, said Trumpkin, and let's be off. If I'm not to be allowed to sleep, I'd as soon march as stand here talking. And so at last they got on the move. Lucy went first, biting her lip and trying not to say all the things she thought of saying to Susan. But she forgot them when she fixed her eyes on Aslan. He turned and walked at a slow pace about 30 yards ahead of them. The other had only Lucy's directions to guide them, for Aslan was not only invisible to them, but silent as well. His big cat like paws made no noise on the grass. He led them to the right of the dancing trees. Whether they were still dancing, nobody knew, for Lucy had her eyes on the lion and the rest had their eyes on Lucy. And nearer the edge of the gorge, cobbles and kettle drums, thought Trumpkin. I hope this madness isn't going to end in a moonlight climb and broken necks. For a long way, Aslan went along the top of the precipice. Then they came to a place where some little trees grew right on the edge. He turned and disappeared among them. Lucy held her breath, for it looked as if he had plunged over the cliff. But she was too busy keeping him in sight to stop and think about this. She quickened her pace and was soon among the trees herself. Looking down, she could see a steep and narrow path going slantwise down into the gorge between rocks, and Aslan descending it. He turned and looked at her with his happy eyes. Lucy clapped her hands and began to scramble down after him. From behind her, she heard voices of the others shouting, Hi, Lucy, look out, for goodness sake, you're right on the edge of the gorge, come back. And then a moment later, Edmund's voice saying, No, she's right. There is a way down. Halfway down the path, Edmund caught up with her. Look, he said in great excitement. Look, what's that shadow down crawling down in front of us? It's his shadow, said Lucy. I do believe you're right, Lou, said Edmund. I can't think of how I didn't see it before. But where is he? With his shadow, of course. Can't you see him? Well, I almost thought I did. For a moment. It's such a rum light. Get on, King Edmund, get on, came Trumpkin's voice from behind and above. And then, farther down and still nearby at the top, Peter's voice saying, Oh, buck up, Susan, give me your hand. Why, a baby could get down here, and do stop grousing. In a few minutes, they were at the bottom, and the roaring of the water filled their ears. Treading delicately, like a cat, Aslan stepped from stone to stone across the stream. In the middle, he stopped, bent down to drink, and as he raised his shaggy head, dripping from the water, he turned to face them again. This time, Edmund saw him. Oh, Aslan, he cried, darting forward, but the lion whisked around and began paddling up the slope on the far side of the rush. Peter! Peter! Cried Edmund. Did you see? I saw nothing, said Peter, but it's so tricky in the moonlight. Oh, we go, though, and 3 cheers for Lucy. I don't feel half so tired now, either. Aslan, without hesitation, led them to their left, farther up the gorge. The whole journey was odd and dreamlike. The roaring stream, the wet gray grass, the glimmering cliffs which they were approaching, and always the glorious, silently pacing beast ahead. Everyone except Susan and the dwarf could see him now. Presently they came to another steep path up the face of the farther precipice. These were far higher than the ones they had just descended, and the journey up them was a long and tedious zigzag. Fortunately, the moon shone right above the gorge so that neither side was in shadow. Lucy was nearly blown when the tail and hind legs of Aslan disappeared over the top. With the last effort, she scrambled after him and came out, rather shaky legged and breathless, on the hill they had been trying to reach ever since they left Glasswater. The gentle slope, the long, gentle slope, heather and grass and a few other big rocks shone white in the moonlight, stretched up to where it vanished in the glimmer of trees about a half a mile away. She knew it. It was the hill of the stone table. With a jingle of mail, the others climbed up behind her. Aslan glided on before them, and they walked after him. Lucy, said Susan in a very small voice. Yes, said Lucy. I see him now. I'm sorry. That's all right, said Lucy. But I've been far worse to you than far worse than you know. I really believed it was him. I mean, yesterday when he warned us not to go down to the fir wood, and I really believed it was him tonight when you woke us up. I mean, like deep down inside. Or I could have if I let myself. But I just wanted to get out of the woods and oh, I don't know. And whatever am I to say to him? Perhaps you won't need to say much, suggested Lucy. Soon they reached the trees, and through them the children could see the great mound, Aslan's How, which had been raised over the table since their days. And that's where we're going to stop for today. They can all see Aslan now. And we're going to see what happens next time when they get to the stone table and inside of Aslan's How. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you all have a great day and tune in tomorrow.